everyone, welcome to The Outlet. I'm your host Kayla, and today I'm here with...
Hi guys, I'm Sydney. I'm a friend of Kayla's. She invited me here today to, speak on, I think, a topic that we can both relate to, which is
balance. So how do we achieve balance? We'll go into more detail, but first and foremost, I think I want to ask this one question first is, how would you define balance per se?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to get into it. So balance, for me personally, balance means accepting what I have and working with what I got. And what I mean by that is, when we visually picture balance, we typically think of like a scale. And when we think about our lives and we think about balancing out our lives, which is the point of this video, if you try to balance out, more specifically, your family life, your personal life, so your relationships, school, work, all those types of things, all your mandatories, and then you also balance out your goals, your aspirations, your interests, your hobbies, all those sorts of things, very rarely do they ever align. They're always going to be fluctuating, and I think that a lot of us, that's the main struggle that we always end up having. And it's kind of a sad reality when you think about it, because why should the things that we want be
on the back burner,
or incapable to us, or out of reach constantly? And it's like it's a battle, and it can be very frustrating, and I know we both know the different spectrums of that. So for me, that's what balance is. And
I can add on to it and be like, and say how, or just mention that being balanced has nothing to do with a productivity hack, or like being able to check off things off your to-do list and like, you know what, well, I did X, Y, and Z today. No, it has way more like to do with your state of mind.
Definitely.
Just making sure that you are balanced here, if anything. I feel as though sometimes we try really hard to make everything balanced, and we end up making the scale a little bit off balance without even realizing it.
Definitely.
And so this is where it comes in for us to be honest with ourselves, and for us to accept our current reality, for us to understand what is actually going on. I think we can both attest to accepting our current reality, or everybody for that matter, just with the whole pandemic issue.
Definitely.
We all had to accept that we're not going anywhere outside. We're not seeing anything. But we still want things to get done. A lot of us still wanted to, achieve certain goals.
We still have certain goals. Like, life doesn't stop just because of COVID. And a lot of people had an issue with that, with life stopping, to really sit down for a second. And the main thing that always comes to my head is this saying that when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. And I think that a lot of us are like, okay, I gotta make the best out of the situation. But what you also have to keep in mind, and again, this goes with being honest with yourself and being realistic, and this is all parts of balance. We never think about, when we think of balance, it's weird because we always think about everything has got to be good, like everything has got to be perfect. But kind of the way I think about balance now is like yin and yang. So you take the bad and the good and the bad. I don't know the other one the saying of it, but so sometimes we expect lemonade to be perfect, and lemonade can sometimes be bitter
and sour.
Lemonade can be sour. Lemonade can be
really
sweet. And it can also be just sugar water. Like, who knows, So you can't always expect the recipe to always come out right. The recipe to life is not, you don't A and B, A plus B equals C. It's not that. It's not the Pythagorean theorem. I can't speak today, guys, but you know what I mean. So I think that, it's very important to remind ourselves of all of these changes. And I think that accepting these changes will ultimately allow us to become at a balanced state of mind, because you no longer only associate your life being good with, when it's going the way you want it to, and life being bad when change comes and fear comes, and so I think that's a very important element that can help you maintain that state of balance, because again, you can't ultimately receive balance, because balance it's constantly something you have to work on. It's always going to be rocky,
And on that, I can even add and go to say that with every season of your life, you will have to recalibrate. You will have to reset. You may not necessarily have to do much of a change, but something alters, even if it's a little thing. One example that I can think of personally is when the pandemic hit, I had to realize very quickly that I wasn't going to be able to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, because I wasn't going to school. Going to places helped, that productivity, or help promote productivity.
I think that's what a lot of people
were relying on. But one thing that we had to realize and just come to understand is that you cannot rely on, you know, our lives and going places is changing. And even now, we don't even know what the future holds. Even now that we've lifted the quarantine rules, we're able to go outside, but life is still not the same how it was in 2019, and we've had to come to terms with that reality. The moment we come to terms with what is actually happening now, we then can produce and be able to come up with a schedule, come up with things to then be able to make something even better for ourselves, if that makes sense. But I had to quickly understand and realize, yep, that wasn't gonna happen. So I realized, okay, yeah, exactly, accepting my reality.
That's what the main thing I said. Balance is ultimately acceptance.
Exactly. And then acting accordingly. I was like, bet, I accepted that. Okay, now I realized the best time the most time I was productive was after work. Okay, bet 6 o'clock after work, I was working out. I did all the things that I need to do after work. And then as I started getting more confident in my routine, then I brought it gradually back to working out at 8 a.m. in the morning, to now I'm entering another season in my life where I'm gonna try to go back to where I was before. So it's just like, everything is with steps, baby steps.
There's seasons.
The seasons of your life. You cannot,
seasons for everything.
Exactly.
It can't always be the same.
Literally, even this may be corny, but even with a show, like every season there's something else. And even the people change. They look different. They get more confident in their character. It's just different. Like, it's not the same. When you watch a show, the last season is never the same as the first season.
Maybe the characters are. And sometimes they evolve, sometimes they don't.
Yeah, depending.
That's TV.
Yeah, exactly. Again, but you get the point. Like, exactly. Evolving and also like realizing that you cannot have this just restricted mindset. Like, this is what I used to do, and it needs to work this way or else. No, you need to be fluid. You need to be able to move. And granted, I'm not a big fan of change. I hate change.
Same.
Oh my gosh, here. It's bad. I hate change.
I am very, and I think both of us are like that. We're very loyal to what we know.
Exactly.
So when we actually decide to make that change to get out of it, we're out of it. We've actually come to terms with it, and it might take us a little bit of a minute to get there. I know me, it's a little bit quicker than you and a lot of other people. For me, it takes me a little bit of a time, because I'm like, I really have to hone on this, because once I'm not doing it again, I'm not doing it again. Yeah. So yeah. And what you were saying, it reminded me of this quote, the one that I showed you a little bit earlier, where it was like, change comes to shake barriers, to break down structures, so that change can come, so new things can come forward. And I think, again, mindset is so important to have when you're trying to get to a state of balance, because again, maintaining balance in my life has been an ongoing struggle for me, and of course it's always going to be a struggle. I was a person who just never put the work in, who didn't put the effort in, and it just never matched, because as you know, I'm very ambitious, and I'm very goal oriented. I'm extremely, and everyone knows this about me. And when they really get to know me and know like who I am and like the old habits that I have, they're like, really, I would have never expected that. People expect me to be this type of person. Are like, really, you struggle with that? I'm like, yes, I do all the time. It doesn't match, you know, what's going on in my head. And that for me was so troubling, because it was like, if I have all of these dreams, if I have all of these goals, and I'm thinking all of these things, and I can see and I can map out how it can get done, but I'm just not doing it, then what's going on, you know? And I would say and I just come to terms with myself, and I said, listen, you're the only one stopping yourself. You have to, and I think that what really like hindered me was keeping this mindset that I was this person and holding on to that, and I was allowing it to, you know, mentally
become you.
Yeah, to trap me, mentally imprison my mind, and I did not make space for the optimism. And I think, again, we spoke about being realistic, but I think a lot of people confuse being realistic with being pessimistic, and it's not the same thing.
They're two different things.
Completely two different things, because you can still dream and be realistic
about your dream.
I know for a fact, I knew, and that's what was so troubling to me, that I knew that I could do those things. I knew that I had the capabilities, and everyone around me even said it. They were like, you know you can do that. And I was like, can I? Yeah. And I was like, I was trapped. I was trapped in it. And again, no one is gonna get you out of that place besides you. You know, you saw me in high school. Like, it wasn't that I didn't really have the support. Maybe I didn't have as much support as I needed at the time, and maybe I just wasn't ready at the time. But, and again, this sounds funny because I'm like, you know what I'm talking about, but you guys don't. But, but yeah, it took me a while. It took me 4 years to get out of that place. And sometimes, again, I come to acceptance with that, and I can look back. I can be here now and be like, gosh, why wasn't I thinking like that before? Why wasn't I here? But I'm just like, you know what? I had to go through that. Yeah. That was my season to be down, to be really reflective, and to really think about all the things that to process everything and why I was in that place, so that I know how I got there and I can rise above it now. You know what I'm saying? So
and it's like a motivating factor too. Like it's something that people actually, they run away from trial, they run away from downtime,
fear.
But I truly think that we need to accept and come to peace with our limits, and come to peace with just what we had to go down in the nitty gritty, you know, like it's what builds you, so that now you're looking back, you're like, man, I'm not where I want to be yet, but I'm far from where I came from.
Exactly.
You know? And keep that, just that positive mindset, and just always another thing that I always do too, or I just like to try to do, is just be happy in the little things that I do, that I get done, that I get accomplished.
Absolutely. Don't
be a Debbie Downer, even because the thing is, even people can say anything that they want about me. I don't care. But because one, I've said it to myself already, probably 10 times worse. And then like I already shut the idea down before someone else shut it down.
And I would always do that. It's so unhealthy. And the fact that I've come out, I still do it, and I'm more aware of it now. And again, being intentional is so important. It's super important. That's actually one of the things that my therapist always like stresses to me. She's like, Sydney, you have to embrace the little things. You have to give yourself a pat on the back. She asked me, what have you done good today? What can you be proud of today? And if that's it's a hard question for me to answer, because I have to sit there and really think, what am I proud of? I can tell you everything I did wrong. I can tell you everything I did wrong. I can tell you I'm not happy I did this. I could have done this better. I'm so critical. And that's a good thing. It is. And it can be a skill, but you kind of have to train your brain to see it differently, because when all you can see is everything that you've done wrong, that's all you're going to see. If you can see everything you've done right, you can see optimism everywhere. You see opportunity everywhere. I look at this phone, I don't think it's just a phone. I think I can make a YouTube channel. I can create a career for myself with this phone. You have to look at life. You're not gonna enjoy life, or you're not gonna get the big picture out of life. You're not gonna get all you want out of life in that down mindset, because you're going to be so limited. You have to break that barrier in order to open your mind to new opportunities. And I know it's so cliche to be optimistic and all this other stuff, and again, with the whole balance thing, it's not going to be rainbows and sunshine all the time. Like again, and me being optimistic doesn't mean that I'm unrealistic or that I'm like living in a fantasy world. It's like I choose to see things differently. Everything in life is a choice. And you can either choose to rise above, or you can choose to keep yourself down. Which one do you think is going to help you get out of where you need to get to? When you look at anyone who is successful, I think a lot about what's her name?
Taraji P. Henson.
Her, but another one, the other funny one, Tiffany Haddish.
Oh yes.
When I think about Tiffany Haddish, do you think it was easy for her to be optimistic in that situation? She lived in her car. Her parents, I'm pretty sure they abandoned her or something like that. She had no support, nobody, but her main goal for life was to spread joy to others, to entertain others, to make other people happy. And she decided, I'm gonna do it. And you know what they always say, when you're ready, the master will come. And Kevin Hart came in and gave her that helping hand. I'm like, bruh. And you hear these things all the time. I got goosebumps thinking about it. It's like, these things happen all the time. I hear about it all the time. These things aren't just stories. They're not just folk tales they tell people to keep them optimistic and da-da-da-da-da. These things happen. Balance is acceptance. Ultimately, balance is accepting what you have and working with what you've got. Balance is knowing that you take the good and the bad, and good and bad doesn't always have to be, you know, just that. You know, when you look on it on a spectrum, it can be blessings in disguise. Bad can be lessons. Bad can be change. Bad can be, you know. So once you change that mindset, and again, mindset is very important to have an optimistic mind. What else did we say?
And achieve that, just making sure that you're truthful to yourself,
being realistic,
being
honest,
very, very honest with yourself, knowing what you can and cannot do, and just altering your schedule, altering your success in that way. Don't limit yourself because you feel as though you didn't accomplish it on your terms, or even someone else's terms. But we'll talk about that in another like video as well. But just essentially saying, you know, to basically say that balance is a state of mind. It's something that you're gonna work towards continuously forever. And it's going to change. It's going to fluctuate. It's not going to be just this one steady thing, this one stick formula. No, it's not math. Like
life is not math.
It's not. Because math, you have like, you know, things. But thank you guys. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below.